Hey everyone, Stanley Tweedle here. This is going to be another quickie review. I just saw Driver, and wow, I feel like I've been through an ordeal. I feel like I've been away for a week. You ever see one of those movies that's just so engrossing and so slow-paced that it makes you feel like you've actually experienced the length of time implied in the movie? It's pretty ridiculous. Like, compare that to something like The Green Lantern, where you never get engrossed. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that's a movie. Come on, movie, keep going, keep going. Well, that felt like an hour and a half. No, this thing felt like it was 2 weeks. So any movie that can do that to you, and I mean that in a good way. I don't mean it felt like 2 weeks because it was just shitty. The movie is incredibly slow-paced, so like don't go into the movie hoping for it to be over. Go into the movie with the mindset, okay, I'm here for an experience. One thing I loved was the soundtrack. There's too much fucking hip hop in movies these days, and I hate hip hop. The music was just so retro and cool, and all the performances are excellent. They are. And like movies with understated characters like this, they can fall into a trap all the time where like it's just like the director think, okay, well the character's understated, so in every possible scene he's got to be understated. There can't be any variation in his tone or his mood at all, and that's not the case. It's how the hell they wrote the screenplay, because there's not that much talking in the movie. A lot of the movie is just the characters' actions and reactions. In my last video to Confused Matthew, I was pretty mad. I was just in a bad mood. But I got mad because he expects all this, or he seemed to expect. I could be misinterpreting that. So much like expository dialogue. There's none, almost none in this movie. There's like one scene of expository dialogue. Everything else is just, yeah, it's just pure acting, and it's really well done. I really like to look up, and I should have done this before I started recording, but fuck it, how much this movie cost. Here's another weird quirk of me. I have the soul of an accountant. Every time I watch a movie that looks like it cost a lot of money, I'm less impressed with those movies. I get really impressed with movies that have very, very, very small casts, really tiny locations, like not expensive locations or costumes. I like minimalism, I guess is what I'm saying. Only when it works. Only when you put it all together and it turns out to be a great movie on the level of some, no, not on the, like, surpasses the schlock coming out of Hollywood. Overall, I want to give this movie an 8, but I'm more impressed with it than that. The only reason why I wouldn't give it like a 9 is because, and I guess I should just explain where my numbers come from, or post a video on that. I keep putting it off. I haven't done it yet, so I'll 10 is just one of the most epic movies ever, and I insist everyone I know see these movies. I get obnoxious about it if they haven't seen it. 9 is a movie like a 10, but it's got serious flaws that hold it back. 6, 7, and 8 are they're the mediocre films. Those are your average films. And within that context, like 6 is you failed, but like I'm not really that mad. It's just, yeah, that I would have chosen a different movie. Like maybe if nothing else is on, I'll watch this shitty movie, but I would have chosen to watch this shitty movie. 7 is satisfactory. And 8 is you went above and beyond. But this movie went further than an 8. So I'm going to have to give it an 8.5. Or even a 9. As for why it's not in that 10 category, the plot isn't that great. Like as a movie, the story is... I guess I should tell you the story now. Basically what happens is Ryan Gosling is this driver, Hollywood stunt driver, wants to get into like the professional racing, and he also is a getaway driver for hire. that he's amazing. He is absolutely amazing. And it's not like, oh, it's like Fast and the Furious. No, no, that's crap. This is... It's so hard to describe this level of competence. And that's another thing I loved about this movie. I was flabbergasted by the competence of this character. Not that it's unreasonable, not that it's not believable, but the character is just so together. He's just so bright and so cool about it. Yeah, so... again, compare this to The Debt, where all the characters are hideously incompetent, and I wound up rooting for the Nazi by the end of it, because I was just so fucking pissed off at these characters. Yeah, really, really well done movie. 8.5. If you're like some 13-year-old kid and you need everything to explode every 5 minutes, or you can't stand sitting still for more than 10 seconds, then don't see this movie. This movie's not for you. But you wouldn't like my movie reviews anyway, because I have much higher standards than you. If you actually like Transformers, first fuck you and don't see this movie. But if you really like amazing, good old movies, then see this. This is such a throwback to a better era in movies. It's almost like, it kind of reminds me of Dirty Harry in a way. Fuck it, this movie's a 9. This movie is a 9. And any movie that reminds me this much of Dirty Harry, because it does seem right out of that era. Its tone and pacing is very much like Dirty Harry. And little things, like at one point somebody gets shot in the face with a shotgun at point blank range, and the shooter is doused in gore. I really like that. I really, really like little things like that. It adds so much more to the realism of the movie, and it is shocking to me. Not in like a Saw way, you know, where it's shocking, you know. That torture porn does not interest me, and there are a few scenes in this that are not for the squeamish at heart. I can withstand them, but I don't like an entire movie made out of them, like Hobo with a shotgun. Although I like the movie, it's just like I really could have done without all the torture porn. So please see this movie. It's amazing. Stanley Tweedle out.